Hey guys, and welcome back to Cultured Boys, a show where two guys just want to have a chat. I'm Nathan, and as always, I'm joined by Pepe, and this week we're doing something slightly new. We are starting a book club.
Yeah.
Well, more like a manga book club.
Yeah.
We're making each other read some mangas. If you want to join in, you can join in too.
Yes.
But we're not reading actual books. That needs to be said.
It's like kind of like loop around it. Okay, yeah, you can take any book you want from the library. Cool, there's some manga there, I'll take that.
Yeah, innit? Like comic book. I want the comic book.
The loosest form of a book club. So with the premise of this, it's that like each of us are going to recommend each other a series that neither of us has read. Well, one of us has read, one of us hasn't. For example, this week I've recommended a manga to Nathan, and he's read the first 5 chapters of it.
Yep.
And we'll do another episode next time, and vice versa.
And these we don't know how often we'll do these, but like periodically we'll do it, and it doesn't always have to be something we both read. Might actually be something that one of us wants to read.
Yeah.
And just is gonna force the other one to read the first 5 chapters of.
Yes.
Providing it's got 5 chapters. But
so basically a manga review. It turns into a manga review at that point.
Kind of. But you know what I mean? Like
Yeah. I get you, yeah.
For the manga reviews we like typically pick things that are new in Jump.
Yeah.
But with this we can literally, it could be from anywhere, from anything.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily have to be manga, could be manhwa, could be a webtoon, like, you know what I mean? Like, in this sense, we can literally pick whatever, and it might be something just way out there that we're like, we would never make a manga review about that.
Very good point. But yes, this week for Nathan, I mentioned this actually a few episodes ago. One of my favorite series of all time, which was brought up in the manga through the decades episode that we made.
Yes, Fuku Jaguar.
Yeah. So it's one of those mangas that people kind of might know about, but like they're also like, what the hell is this? So it's a manga that people might know but haven't actually read themselves. I got into this literally ages ago. Like when I was first getting into manga, I just wanted to read everything.
I mean, this has been around for a long time.
This started in 2000, I believe.
Yeah, September 4th, 2000, all the way to August 23rd, 2010.
Yeah, so it went for 10 years. So,
jeez.
Literally, yeah, long running series. But yeah, this is what we're going to discuss today. And as I said before, both of us have read the first 5 chapters. I needed a refresher on this because, as I said before, I read this probably 10 years ago. So, like, this is a bit of a refresher to me and also a brand new experience for Nathan. So, yeah.
Yes, it was.
Nathan, can I get your first initial thoughts on this?
It's definitely a Pepe series, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
I didn't really get it.
Okay, yeah.
As in, like, okay, I understood the premise, and Pepe will get into it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I could see why you like it. I don't like it myself.
Yeah,
but
okay.
I could see why you like it.
So, for a bit of context as well, Fuku Jaguar, for those who don't know, is a comedy series. There's about 10 pages per chapter, roughly. Maybe sometimes less.
Yeah.
And it is about basically this guy called Kiyohiko, who is auditioning to a bunch of different companies. He wants to be a musician. He wants to be a guitarist. So he goes to a bunch of different record labels and is basically trying to get a job. Like, as a guitarist.
Mm-hmm.
Along these various auditions that he goes to, he meets this very out there character called Jaguar Junichi.
Okay, I didn't know he had a surname.
He did actually. Yeah, in the first 5 chapters, bear in mind, he is just called Jaguar. But like his full name is Jaguar Junichi.
Ah.
But yes, along all of these auditions that he goes to, he meets this character who loves playing the recorder and is insistent that Kiyohiko gets into the recorder.
Mm-hmm.
But from that, it's just like chaos, hilarity ensues, and it's just like, it's very much the dynamic of the like in that series Shoha Shoten.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's Manzai, innit? It's the straight man and the goofball.
Literally, although it feels like there's a lot of goofballs, straight man kind of dynamics in this.
Yeah.
But yes, there is like a goofball and a guy that's like, "What the hell are you doing?" Like the ordinary man, whatever. But that goes on. So there's a lot of weird, weird comedy that comes through in this, like wacky comedy, very similar to something maybe out of Bobo, but not as out there. I'd say it's
I'd agree.
yeah, Bobo is very like strange in the fact that it will bring you into a completely different scene and bring in like something that is completely irrelevant. But Fuku Jaguar makes a comedy out of this situation, but keeps it within that world in the sense.
Yeah.
It's just like it's more of the actions of the characters rather than the props and the surroundings for them. But yeah, that is basically the whole premise of it. There's not much else to do because that's one thing. Each chapter is 10 pages long, as I mentioned before, so
It is super short.
very short. Can understand why as well with this kind of series.
Yeah, I think if you tried to do the regular 18 to 20 pages, it would probably drag.
Absolutely. I think it keeps it short, keeps it snappy. But yeah. It is also worth noting as well that the Kiyohiko is introduced as Kiyohiko.
Yeah.
But then, as the series goes on, the series just completely changes his name because Jaguar calls him Piyohiko, which is completely not his name. But the whole series just goes towards that, is geared towards just changing his name completely. So now, in the whole series, he is known as Piyohiko.
I think, what was it? I think that was chapter 5.
Yeah.
Mainly where it like proper kicks off, because chapter 5 is where he goes into this one company and then Jaguar's the security guard and he misreads his name as Piyohiko.
Yeah.
But whether he does that on purpose or because he'd already started calling him that within like, I think from chapter 3 or something.
Oh yeah. He keeps on getting his name wrong completely. Like there's a few variations. He just lands on Piyohiko as a as a settling point.
Again, I can see why you like this.
Mm-hmm.
As your friend who's read and discussed a lot of manga with you, this is like quintessential Pepe series to me. Like, it's just random.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like these comedy series because to me, I'm just like, I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, why? Why? For a lot of it is mainly my thing, but like I understand why Pepe likes it because it's just the pure randomness of fucking whatever. Recorder guy just meets this other guy, starts off by playing some made up shit. All he's done is recite the M line of the alphabet, like for Japanese alphabet. So ma, mo, mi, me, mu, and then he just starts making noises and whatever, and it's literally just a random series.
Yeah.
There's just a random series of events, and Pepe loves that kind of stuff. And I just don't understand it. I don't find it funny, so like this, I don't want to shit on your series, but like to me, I was just like,
oh no, but I don't that I chose this because I know that it's completely not your series.
yeah, I figured.
Yeah.
I mean, when we discussed this, like starting this series, Pepe did immediately say, "I'm picking this," and laughed at me.
Yeah. I do because I know for a fact like you said before, you're not into comedy series at all unless it's a very particular. It has to be a very certain niche, like I don't know, comedy that you understand. Like I think it's very rare for you to get into that kind of comedy series.
I think it's just because I'm over the random comedy.
Yes. Yeah.
As in, like that for me, that's like a stage of my life. Like that was like the Family Guy era of my life. Like
yeah.
you know, when I was like 16, 17, I was like way into that. But I'm like, I'm past that now. And I just sort of go, I don't find it funny to just randomly be like, haha, I'm the security guard now. Play the flute. Or, haha, I got kicked out of your audition. Put me in the case and bring me in so I can play music, but not really.
Yeah.
I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I get it why someone would find it funny, but to
Yeah.
me, I was just like, I don't.
I can completely understand. Why why you react that way.
Yeah, I will say though, I'm very glad it was only like 10 pages long because I think if it was 20, I would have given up. I don't know if I could have got to 5 if it was like 20 pages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Again, it's an easy read and it was fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I literally was just like, okay, because I have to do it for the episode, so.
Yeah. So that's a funny thing as well, because you read up to chapter 5, which is like at that point it's very much like I say story of the week very loosely because it is just about a story. It's more just a bunch of gags on a thing.
Oh, it literally is.
But it's actually quite funny because in chapter 6, that's when the story actually kicks off. It's quite funny because I read, even though I've read this before, like I thought I'd read the 5 chapters, but then I thought I'm going to go a bit further. I'm enjoying this. So I read a bit. I read up to 10. Chapter 6 is where it actually kicks off, and that's where it's even stranger how the series goes along because it completely diverts
Uh-huh.
from this guy who's going to different auditions to he ends up going to like some sort of academy.
What? Well, okay.
And and he basically he goes to an audition, and the guy's like, "Oh, you're perfect for our company. We want you basically." So Pio gets hired, but then he ends up getting fleeced because the guy's a bit dodgy. So the only person that hires Pio is this dodgy businessman, and
Yay.
from that he ends up living in a dorm. And ends up going like paying these fees and ends up going to an academy.
Oh.
And understandably, you know who the fuck else is joining this academy.
Yeah.
It's not even the first, like it's not even within that chapter either. Like Pio gets this anxiety that Jaguar has joined the academy, but he hasn't actually. So there's a whole chapter of Pio stressing about Jaguar appearing, but he actually doesn't. He's just there, and then he joins in the next chapter. So. And that's how it all goes on, and like there's even a bunch more like ridiculous characters that get added into the series, as you can probably imagine.
Oh, yay.
I think it's chapter. I think it might be chapter 7 or chapter 8, where one of their, I say this in the loosest terms, teachers gets introduced, called MC Hammer.
Okay.
Although they take away the MC in the actual thing. But he is a hip hop jutsu teacher.
Okay, that's funny. Oh.
So he's a ninja that does hip hop, and he has shurikens and stuff like that. But he's also notoriously bad at hip hop. So there's a whole bunch of other characters that get. From what I remember, like down the line, there's a robot that gets introduced called. I think he has a proper name, but Jaguar's like, no, I don't like that name, so I'm gonna call you Sticky.
Yay.
There's a robot called Sticky about. There's a whole bunch. As I said, loads of randomness in this series. There's so much that go into this, and like it is worth noting as well what you said earlier, Nathan, about you're over the whole random comedy kind of thing, like Family Guy, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I will say, although this is completely up my street in terms of comedy, I can get what you mean with the whole randomness that. Like, it's been back then, like 10 years ago, I'm the same. I probably would have found stuff like this a lot more funnier. And right now in life, like, I reread this and I'm pretty sure I probably would have found it funnier when I was younger. I still find it quite funny. I think the story's joke. I think the art's hilarious because it is borderline doodles at some point.
Yeah.
But I think that's what that kind of plays into the whole style of the series. So I think it works.
I will agree with you on that. The art does work.
Yeah.
Because it is fairly clean and then it does get kind of really weird and like rough.
Yeah.
Which works fine for a comedy series.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just I do always get concerned when you're like, cool, you should read this comedy series. I'm like, I'm not gonna like it, am I? Because I'm like, when you say comedy series,
yeah,
it either means it's really random
mm-hmm.
or it's like Showa Shoten or, you know, Akane Banashi or something like that.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. It's comedy, but it's like not like actual.
I've always talked about Psyche. What did you think of it? Because you actually watched the whole first series, didn't you, on Netflix?
I liked season 1 on Netflix.
Yeah. What is the reason you stopped watching again? Was it because it was...
Oh, it's just because at the time there wasn't... I watched it in dub.
Yeah, yeah.
So I got used to all the voices.
Okay, yeah, that was it, yeah.
You know when you get used to a set of voices and then like season 2 wasn't dubbed? And I don't think it is.
I think that's the thing with Psyche K is the fact that it is random at times, but it's not on the scale of Piyutefuki or Bobobo of random.
Yeah, no, I think it's because it sets the world a little better for me.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so like, I don't know, it played more on like tropes. To me, it felt more like a comedy that I would enjoy because it's like, you got the fucking big dopey guy who's big and friendly. You got the main character who's just stupid powerful. You got the girl, the pretty girl who like doesn't get the main character's attention.
Yeah.
You got, you know...
Yeah, I get you. You got
the 8th grader syndrome. You know, you got all these trope characters, but that's what I kind of find funny is like playing on these tropes rather than just the sort of randomness of like, we're at here and here's a thing and it happened.
Okay, yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, but like, why? besides being like comedy series. That's it. You know what I mean? Like,
I guess, yeah.
I guess it's because it's like more believable,
Yeah.
and maybe I'm just more into that sort of like aspect of it.
Yeah. What other comedy series have you read or watched that you enjoyed? Is there any others that jump out? Or is there like obviously apart from the kind of style of comedy, like in like behind the scenes comedy with like Shorten.
I did actually like Doctor Slump,
Okay, yeah.
and like some of the early Dragon Ball I like
Mm-hmm.
because it's like a little funnier, you know, because it's kind of goofy.
Yeah.
But I think that's what it is. I prefer like goofy rather than like low, random.
That's the one thing, especially with Japanese comedy in general. It is very random.
Yeah,
Regardless of like manga as well, like just generally Japanese comedy, it is like ridiculous. Like, I would never be able to understand a lot of it. We even said this in the Showa Shoten episode.
yeah, we did way back when. Like Manzai is like weird.
Is lost completely. Like I don't know if you ever.
Well, because it's like live skit comedy in it or something.
Yeah, it is, and I mean even like the concept of like Japanese TV shows and stuff like that. Like I don't know if you ever like tried to watch what is it like the punishment like Batsu games.
Yeah,
Yeah, like those kind of things. I mean, I think like there's like some people that really love that, and some people that are like, "What the hell is this?" I'm kind of falling to the latter of it. Like, for me, it's just like it's lost on me completely. Sometimes there's something that should be funny, and people are laughing, but I'm like, I don't know if it's my kind of thing. Yeah,
I don't know. Like, I think it depends on what the Batsu game is. I think on
yeah,
TV, you know, yeah, the Batsu games are kind of crap.
yeah,
But like, you know, like if you did it like streamers or YouTube or something, you know, and it's like,
yeah. That's the evolution of it, isn't it? Like realistically, those.
yeah, that's where it's like more interesting, the concept of like a Batsu game or like a punishment game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I completely agree. I don't the randomness of Japanese comedy or TV in general. I just don't really get it because it's kind of like what's the purpose of it
Mm-hmm.
besides the fact that it's the thing? And that's why I think in terms of manga, I don't tend to read a lot of comedy series because
Yeah.
it's not that the comedy comes from the natural storytelling or like the world building.
Yeah.
You know, like in Witch Watch, like situations happen because, you know, she's learning spells. She's the witch of 1,000 spells or whatever. And so, like, when she uses a thing, it happens. So that's like a little funnier. But when it's just sort of like, oh, we can do it just because we're a comedy series, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't really serve any more purpose than just because.
I think it's so hard to kind of nail that kind of genre these days as well, because obviously there's so many different ways you can go around it. And I think and obviously comedy is subjective to a lot of people as well.
Yeah.
So, for example, with Pyu Fuku, it's kind of like they've gone for a certain style here that I don't know if many other mangas would be able to do it like this well.
Yeah.
Like, and play it. Because what it aims to do, it absolutely nails it. This is the one thing with it. Like, it aims to be random. The art is ridiculous. And it hits so many different points where you're like, okay, this works as a series because, like, regardless of if you find it funny or not, like, the art works, the story is short, but it's snappy and it works. And the characters are ridiculously goofy. You know, like, the fact that if you're into this goofy comedy, you gotta absolutely love it because it plays into goofiness so much. But like that's the one thing you can look at in something like what is it, Protect Me Sugar, for example,
Oh, God.
where it knew what it was trying to do, but I absolutely hated it
Same.
because I just found it like I can't read this. This is so freaking stupid.
Yeah, see, but that was one that was like trying to be like a sitcom,
Yeah.
but then also threw in so much like so random, and it's like that doesn't. Why though?
It got to the point where it's so tropey, whereas Pyu Fuku, I feel, creates situations which are different each week, and it doesn't play the same sort of tropes. For example, Jaguar is very much into the recorder, and he will try and get Pyu to play as much as possible. However, that isn't the same thing every single week. I remember, like, there's one chapter that I read, this is way further down the line, I remember reading it back in the day, where it was just as a series of short stories,
Oh, okay.
like per page, and it is just like has nothing to do. Like it's just Jaguar saying, "Oh, I've got a story here," and it's just a page of like, "What the fuck is that? That's the most random thing ever." Like it has nothing to do with recorders, so this isn't like, "Oh, let's repeat the same gag over and over again each week." Like early stages, it does fall into that, but that's just setting up the kind of character that Jaguar is. Whereas like further down the line, obviously you get more characters introduced as well, which are absolutely ridiculous. Like I said, like Hammer is introduced, like all these other random characters all have their unique personalities. Again, very random, but they work, and each chapter does like bring something different. And obviously, you know that it's done well. It lasted for 10 years.
I mean, it's I don't hate on it that much. Like I realize the comedy is exactly of that time period, like early 2000s to 2010. Like that was it. Like the lol so random kind of stuff. Like the whole
Yeah.
it just happens cause and strange situations. I mean, I did sort of like smirk at. I think it was chapter 3 or 4 when Jaguar's getting kicked out of the audition because they're looking for a guitarist and he's a recorder player.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, I need to get back in. Help me get rid of that security guard. I got 7 techniques. 6 of them are bloody."
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, that's pretty much all of them. And he still goes for like the bloody method as well. This is one
Like
thing.
that got me. And then like at the end of the chapter where he finally gets in and Piyohiko is like trying to vouch for him to get him to let him play, and then he fucking smashes the desk and tries to kill everyone. I'm like, okay, that got me.
Yeah.
Because that was funny. That was like a situation, like he created that situation. But like the other ones where, he's just sort of there. Like, oh, you come past this company where I put up a sign every day. Okay.
Yeah.
But why?
Yeah. I mean, that's it. That's the thing is that makes you become the Piyohiko character. Where you're like, why would you do that? You're obviously asking those questions, and yeah, I agree. Yeah, it is very much of that time period. I will agree with you that it is very random, and as I said before, it isn't something necessarily like if this came out today. Would I necessarily read it? I probably would actually still stick with it,
I mean, you would.
Yeah.
For sure. Like, you would, for sure.
Yeah. But yeah.
I mean, I might have liked it back in the day. Like, if I had read it when it came out, because, like, that's my sensibility back then, I might have actually liked it, because it would be like, haha, so I can't believe that it's so weird and wacky. But, yeah, as my tastes have changed, yeah, it just doesn't match up with me.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't know whether it would do as well these days.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. It's a really
But then, like, in Jump, there's always that, like, one really just out there series that,
yeah.
for whatever reason, lasts way longer than anyone ever cares to realize.
I don't know if it's still going. Remember, like, it was like High School Family, I think it was called.
I think that ended.
As it ended, that went on for. I mean, yeah, like, right, it didn't last freaking 10 years, but
No, but that was going for a lot longer than anyone ever thought it would.
yeah, and that I feel like I generally thought at one point that it was the same guy that created Fuku because
It does look similar.
if I was going to compare it to anything, like if Fuku was made in this like kind of decade, like High School Family is the thing I'd compare it to most, especially with the art. I think the art is very close.
Yeah, it looks similar, and it's the fact that it's also like, wasn't High School Family like also shorter chapters?
That was also like about 10 pages as well. Yeah. That really did like set up a world as well. Like I feel like they went into the world building a lot more in High School Family than I think Fuku did straight away.
I still didn't read that either.
I quite enjoyed it. I read that for quite a bit actually. I think because like I think as I said before, if I read Fuku today, I'd probably give it the same reaction I did to High School Family. Something that like if I'm very much in the mood of reading a comedy series which is like this, I'll read it. But sometimes I'm not always in the mood for that kind of comedy.
Fair.
My tastes change from like month to month with these kind of things. Like sometimes I'm in the mood to read something like even like when it comes down to serious series like Mashal, Black Clover, all those kind of ones. My tastes change a lot. Even when it comes to sports series, sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, cool, I'll read that. Like it's the same way with a comedy series. Like I've really got to be in the mood for it.
Fair. I mean, that's reasonable. I mean, everyone's like that, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
sometimes you just can't be asked to read a certain thing.
It's not because the thing's bad either. It's just you're not in the mood for it.
Yeah, just not feeling it, innit?
Exactly. But yeah. Any final thoughts on Fuku, Nathan, before we close up this episode?
And the only thing I will say is personally, I wouldn't recommend it, but I also didn't really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
It was fine. It's fine. It's an easy read, but I just didn't find it funny. So I personally wouldn't continue reading it. But who knows? You might like it.
I think it is very much like you either gonna love this or you hate this. This is the one thing. Like,
Oh, for
it's
definite.
Marmite. I think even like if you're someone that loves your shonen series, you read this and be like, what the fuck am I reading? It's not for everyone. I can appreciate that.
I do think it fits perfectly in shonen though. Like,
Yeah.
it is that kind of age range where you probably might find this funny.
Yeah. I think I still feel like this series has a place in my heart. It may not hit the same points as it used to when I was younger, but like, oh no, just like the characters, the wackiness of like Jaguar and all the other characters that are in this, like the art, the strange art sometimes that comes through this, like it has a place in my heart for me. I can't shoot this down at all. So if you're like me, you like a random goofy series, like give it a shot. I'd recommend it. I love this sort of thing. So yeah.
By the way, just remember that random, goofy, wacky. If Pepe ever recommends another comedy series, it probably does fall under all three of those words.
Yeah, it's true.
I feel like most of the series you ever recommend me that are comedy do actually normally have one of those words in there.
Yeah. That is very true. Like, arguably, like there's some comedy series which I feel I've recommended, which I like.
Yeah, there's some different ones, but normally you go for the goofy, wacky randomness.
Yes, absolutely. That's my vibe. But yes, okay. On that though, thank you for listening, guys. Tune in next time where we will actually be doing another manga corner.
Yes.
But this time, Nathan's going to be choosing a series, so you can look forward to that.
Yay.
But yeah, thank you for listening, guys. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Do you like Fuku Jaguar? Let us know in the comments. Give me recommendations of like comedy series that I've never seen or heard of. I want to hear that.
And don't recommend me anything.
Yeah.
Please, just leave me alone.
Specifically me. Just don't target Nathan. This is target me. But yes, leave a comment below. Subscribe to us. We're on podcast platforms. Links in the description. We're also on Twitter. And yeah, thank you for listening. And we will see you next time for another Cultured Boys episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.